In JavaScript, the data we store and use in variables is either a primitive or an object. Let's start off with primitives. In JavaScript, we have 6 primitive data type: numeric, string, boolean, null, undefined, and symbol, which is from ES6. You can ignore the last primitive type, which is the symbol, for the moment. So let's repeat what we have without the symbol type. We have the numeric type, the string type, the boolean type, the null type, and the undefined type. To store a numeric data type in a variable, you just assign a number to it. For example, you can declare a variable and give it a value of 10. Then you can console log this variable. So we can see that this variable holds the number 10. We can also use a number with decimals. For example, we can use this number, and when we go to the browser, we can see that it is working. We can also use negative values like -10, -20, and so on. Great. To store a string data type in a variable, you wrap your text using either single quotes or double quotes. For example, you can declare a variable my name, then here you can either use single quotes, then add the text here, or use the double quotes and add the text here. So let's do it. Then let's add the console log. Then let's see the result in the browser. Great. Make sure you use the same at the beginning and at the end. For example, writing this is wrong, and this is wrong as well. So let's fix it. Now, to store a boolean data type in a variable, you assign to it either true or false. For example, I can declare this variable, then I can give it a value of true or false. Now I will choose true. Then let's console log this variable. And when we go to the browser, we can see that we have the true displayed here. If we gave it a value of false, we will see false here. Please keep in mind, using true or false without quotes is not like using them with quotes. For instance, you assign this value true with quotes, this variable will hold the value of true, but the type of this variable is a string, not a boolean. So if you want to use a boolean, make sure you use just true or false without quotes. To store a null data type in a variable, you give it a value of null. Null means that we worked with this variable and now we don't need it anymore. Or we want to empty out this variable, so we give it a value of null. For example, you can create a variable here, you can give it a value. Then when you finish working with this variable, you give it a value of null. And now when we console log the variable, first the browser displays its first value, then it displays null. Great. Then we have undefined, and we saw that undefined is a value that the JavaScript engine gives to a variable once you declare it. So if you declare a variable z and you don't assign any value to it, then we console log this value, it will have a value of undefined. JavaScript types are dynamic. This means that a variable can be a string, then it can become a number or a boolean or any data type we have in JavaScript. Let's see this with an example. Let's declare a variable will change, then let's give it a string type. Then let's console log this variable. And now we see a string. Now we can change its type. For example, here I can assign to it a number. Then let's console log. And now it is a number. It can then become a boolean. Let's do it. Well, I think you got the idea. Since the JavaScript types are dynamic, you need to have some sort of special function or operator that lets you figure out the type of your variable. This operator is the type of operator. It returns the type of a variable or the type of an expression. So if you add here console log type of this string, it returns a string. Let's console log type of 10. This is the number 10. It returns number. So I can make use of this operator to see the type of my variables that I have created. So if I add console log after each one here, for each one we have the right data type, except for the null type which returns objects. Some people consider this as a bug in JavaScript, but trust me, this will make sense later on. It will make sense why type of null is object. So let's recap. The data we store in a variable is either a primitive or an object. In JavaScript, we saw that there are 6 primitive data types: numbers, strings, booleans, null, undefined, and symbols. We talked about primitives, but we did not talk about objects. We will do this in the next videos to come.